about fears. Let's talk about love. Yeah, I got fears, but I ain't got no love.
Hello.
Hello, is this Alicia?
It is. Is this Ken?
Yes, it is. Now, is it Alicia or Alicia?
It's Alicia.
Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was worried about how I was going to pronounce that.
That's all right.
you got time to talk?
I do.
That's awesome. Everything that you wrote there, I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. So let's, first of all, is it okay that I record this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let's just start off with, I guess, 1991 and where you were working.
I was working at Carl's, but just part-time. I worked at 91. It's hard to remember. I was either also at home delivery or working somewhere else at the time.
Okay.
So I wasn't there a lot. I didn't work many weeknights. I worked on weekends when it was busy and they needed me.
Okay.
And I think we worked as wait staff occasionally also. Like everybody was kind of interchangeable depending on what events were going on.
Okay.
And I also, on event nights, usually worked at the sidebar. There were two bars.
Oh, really?
There was the big main bar that you can see in the pictures of, whatever the bar is after it was Carl's.
Yep.
And there was one on the side, right in front of the bar, there was a space where people could stand, and then there was a little rail and pool tables behind that. And then on either side of that, there were like 2 steps down to the main floor. And right as you went down the steps on the side with the bathrooms, there was a little sidebar, and that was mainly used for servicing the wait staff who were waiting on everybody on the main floor.
I see. Okay. See, I learned something new, and we're not 2 minutes in. That's why this is so important. Okay. So, did Carl hire you?
Yes. And I had actually known Carl for years. Not well, but, I worked in other bars and in State College, and it's kind of a small place when you get to it. So yeah. Everybody kind of knew everybody.
Well, how was Carl, I guess, in general?
I never had any problem with Carl. He was delightful to me, treated me well. Sometimes I'd go help him out. Towards the end there, things were slow, and he didn't have a cook. And like one time I came in and cooked during the day for a couple days.
Yeah, he said...
I had no idea what I was doing.
He said that, it kind of died down because he couldn't get the business from State College. He thought that they would come over, but I guess they didn't.
Yeah, well, it was kind of remote, and there are so many bars in State College, and to get there from there, you've either got to take 322 or 26. And nobody really wanted to drive way out somewhere and drink, on heavily policed roads.
Right. So it was only in existence for less than 2 years, I think, right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Now, did you work there that entire 2 years, or how long did you work there part-time?
It was probably close to that, yeah.
Yeah.
At least a year.
Okay.
I wasn't there right when it first opened.
Did you say that you were a manager, or were you No, just a worker there?
Yep.
Okay. How about...
I think the only manager I recall was it Gail? I think she was Carl's girlfriend.
Yeah.
But eventually she left, and it was a little less organized after that.
Okay. Well, since you mentioned Gail, how about anybody else that you knew that worked there? Their names, waitresses, doorman,
I can't remember any doormen for the life of me. The only people I can really think of that were there consistently were Wendy and Ellen. Were the names of the two
Okay.
bartenders that were always there.
Okay.
And I don't remember last names.
Okay. How about cooks?
No clue.
No, but there definitely was cooks there.
There were some of the time. I think it it wasn't like a place you went to eat.
Right.
But when they had things going on, they'd have somebody cooking, your basic bar food, and probably during lunchtime when they had more of a work crowd.
Okay. Well, that gets me into what time did it usually open?
11.
That's what I thought. So would there be any truth to a reason why Brenda supposedly was supposed to be there at 6 a.m.?
No, that's absurd.
That's what I thought too. But if she was opening up, which she was supposed to, I guess.
She would probably be there at 10.
At 10?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you the one that switched shifts with her?
I did not switch shifts with her, but she asked me to take her shift that night.
When did she ask you?
It was either the day before or that day. I really can't.
That's okay.
I don't want to speculate at this point. It's been so long. That did stick in my mind though, because I remember telling the police that.
Okay, so police did talk to you, which is good.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just once? Twice?
Just once and very briefly.
Yeah. When was that? Like weeks after, days after?
I would say within about a week.
Yeah.
It wasn't immediate, but it wasn't a long time after.
Well, what was you guys' at least your thought like when you heard about it? When did you hear about it?
I again really really couldn't tell you this much later. My memory's not great.
Oh, you're doing a fine job.
But I'm sure within a couple of days, people would have been talking about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was working in another bar. I'm sure everybody was talking about it.
So, like, I guess my curiosity is if she was supposed to open that next morning and nobody is there and patrons are serving themselves, somebody's got to think, well, shit, something ain't right here.
Well, yeah, I would think so.
Well, I mean, somebody within that bar, whoever came in, I guess after Brenda's was supposed to work that day shift. Do you know?
Oh, right. I'm sure they would have realized, obviously, that no one was there.
Right. So eventually word gets to you, and, did it scare you? I mean, that you worked there as well.
It was, obviously it was pretty freaky. I remember at night after that, you wanted to certainly make sure there was somebody there with you until the end.
And that gets me into this question is,
which I don't know the answer to. I can't remember if there were door people all the time.
Well, how about other bartenders? You know what I mean? 2 bartenders working?
Not on a weeknight.
No?
No.
Okay.
There wouldn't be any reason for it. On weekends there were always, multiple people there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, seeing that it was only her second or third night working there, I thought maybe because Carl said, he
right.
really.
I didn't ever know her to I never saw her behind the bar. When I had seen her there, she was waitressing. Oh.
I see.
But that was probably only once.
Right.
So.
So
and I was also thinking, this unrelated, but behind the bar we had those thick rubber mats with the big holes in them. The black floor mats.
Sure.
And I cannot imagine wearing heels on one of those.
Okay.
Like any sort of boots with heels. Out waitressing, yeah, they were. But behind the bar,
You might twist your ankle or something.
You'd get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if she was waitressing at one point in time, that would more than likely be on a weekend or an event night, right?
Right.
I gotcha. Okay. You said you the closing routine.
Yeah,
How would that go?
At night, basically, there would usually be somebody that would help out, some sort of a bar back that would help take out our empty bottles and stuff. The dumpsters were out front, if you're looking at the building to the right of the door.
Okay.
We never used the back door for anything. The only time I ever saw it open was when bands were loading in.
Okay. Where was that back door? Was it over towards the stage area?
It was right behind to the side of the stage. If you were looking straight down, like if you were at the bar,
yep,
looking down, you'd look across the pool tables and
yep,
down to the big room, and the stage was all the way at the end,
okay,
just right in the middle, and the door was to the right of the stage.
I see. Okay,
behind it. I
think I know where that is. I think I have a picture of that actually from that side outside. Showing that. That's the only back door.
There might have been one in the middle of the sidewall, but I think it was, it wasn't something that was used. It might have been chained shut. If it was there, it wasn't something I'd ever seen anyone use.
Okay.
And I could be wrong.
I had somebody write me, and they said that their husband was there that next morning. And of course, nobody was there, and people were getting their own beer and stuff, and they waited for about a half an hour. But of relevance, they said that the back door was open. Now,
Well, that would be really strange.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I had never used that door for anything, and never really saw anyone use that. I don't know what reason you would have for using it. Because if you were taking trash or anything out, you'd use the front door.
Okay. Okay. So you basically, everybody used that front door. Okay.
Except for the bands.
Good to know. See, I'm getting educated here. I love it. The closing routine. Go ahead. I think I might have interrupted you.
Oh, that's okay. I think we would just, we would restock the beers and clean everything up and take out the mats if they had to be pulled to mop. And the office was right off the end of the bar, and I don't remember counting the drawer on weekend nights. I think we would take the drawers, and we might have had two, I think, on weekends, and we would put them in a beer case, and we would bring them back to the office for Gail to count.
Okay. Now, how about last call? I mean, I know that probably varies, right?
Right.
So, like,
it was probably pretty consistently at like 10 of 2 on those weekends.
How about a weekday?
Not really sure. I think it would depend on business. I don't think they always stayed open that late if there weren't people there.
Right. Well, I talked to a guy finally yesterday who was in the bar that night. He remembers Brenda, excuse me, and he said there was about 10 people in that bar, and then he left around 10, 11 o'clock that night, and there was 5 people in the bar. Given that scenario, is it up to each individual bartender to say, hey, last call, we got 5 people in here?
Yeah, I think we pretty much made that decision.
Yeah. And her only being her second or third night there, Carl gave her that authority? Or does that sound odd to you?
It may have been a thing where, she was supposed to call and ask somebody. I don't really know.
Right. Yeah.
My weeknight knowledge is there's not much.
Okay. That's okay. You're still giving me some good info. Let's see what else. You said you had. Did you have some notes written down?
I did. Well, I was just kind of taking notes as I'm watching your episodes here.
Well, there might be some things on there that you're like, oh no, that didn't happen. That's false.
Right.
So go ahead and tell me those.
Well, some of those I think we already got. I think you were talking about the black car and her maybe getting in a car with someone named Mario.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that if you were and who would get in a car with these men, and I was thinking that if you were talking about Greg's brother, that I knew him and his friends at the time, and they were just an absolutely wholesome group.
Yeah.
That they were kind of outdoorsy and their thing was going out and having bonfires in the woods, and I would think that anybody would feel comfortable getting in a car with them.
Okay.
Pretty harmless.
Okay.
But then it seemed like that's not who it looked like you were talking about. What else here? I had something about Sneezy Snyder, but now I can't remember. Wait.
He supposedly gave a deathbed confession.
Perfectly possible, but Sneezy, sweet guy, but always pretty drunk, and I don't know how much stock I would put in anything.
Right.
It came from there. Let's see. Okay, blah blah.
How about Greg? Did you know him well?
I knew Greg. I didn't know him well. I waited on him before in other places, and he knew some people I knew. Seemed pleasant enough, but not enough to really have any
opinion one
sort
way.
of opinion on. Yeah.
Right. How about your opinion on Brenda? Did you actually ever talk to her, have a conversation with her?
Not really. She just started working there, and she was adorable, bubbly, and smiley, and that is about all I got.
Any rumors of her and Carl messing around?
I had heard that, yeah. I don't know whether or not it was true.
Did you hear it back then or throughout the years?
No, I think it was back then.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that was just, speculation on why is this new girl here,
Right. I had somebody else tell me that, that they actually didn't like Brenda too much because Brenda kind of, I don't know, Carl brought her in because of Greg and so on and so forth. So Brenda thought she was special that way. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, I don't know about that now.
Okay.
But again, I wasn't around enough to really get all of the subtext.
How about locking the doors? I mean, always happened, right? Oh, I mean, that's part of the closing duties, right?
Yeah, but we would have the doorman there, and I think they did that.
Okay. So again, if it was a weekday, you wouldn't have knowledge, but you'd assume it'd have to be the bartender. They're the only one there.
I would think so, but I don't recall ever having a key to the place or anything. But I wasn't opening or closing by myself.
Right. Now you did say something about mopping. What did you mop?
Oh, but just behind the bar.
And how about bathrooms?
I don't remember doing that, no.
Okay. Was there like a cleaning closet? Like where the mop and stuff was tucked in?
I don't remember that either. I don't think there was any sort of closet. That stuff might have been kept in the office.
Okay. So if I gave you like the scenario, and it doesn't have to be perfect here, but just try to give me a sense here. If Brenda didn't make it to count the drawer or even pull the drawer to place it in the office, where would she be in the act of closing? Would she even be closing? If I'm trying to determine a timeline of when she was taken or she left on her own accord, whatever it is.
I would think that you would take the cash back before you started cleaning up.
Okay.
You didn't want to leave that stuff sitting back there. And in general, there might be Carl or Gail or someone in the office waiting for it to be able to count it.
Okay. And if, let's say, the next morning when people arrive and they say that the bar wasn't cleaned, there were still beer cans and stuff or whatnot on the table, what would that tell you?
That would tell me that they weren't starting to close at all.
Is that right?
Because that would be the first thing that you would do, is get all of the stuff off the bar.
Okay.
And then, deal with the cash. You'd probably be restocking as people were still there. We're still there drinking. You'd be starting that. But if the only reason there would be drinks and things on the bar, I don't really know. I mean, generally you would get rid of that stuff as people left.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very helpful right there. Would you count the cash and take care of the cash drawer and all that while customers were still there?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You feel okay, confident?
Yeah.
Okay. Her boots being in that bathroom. You have any thoughts on that other than what you said about?
That is a mystery to me. I can't think of any possible reason.
Is that right?
We didn't really have anywhere, like if we brought extra clothes or something, like there wasn't anywhere to put them. There wasn't like an employee room or a closet or anywhere you would really have to keep anything. I can't remember what we did with our purses. Probably just stuffed them behind the bar somewhere.
Yeah. How about your coats and stuff in winter?
Same. Just keep it behind the bar. Or we might have put stuff in the office.
Okay.
But yeah, that's an oddity.
I mean, if she was wearing those boots behind the bar and tripped a couple times or got stuck, I could see her taking them off.
Right, but I can't see leaving them in the men's room.
Right. What would be the reason to put them in there?
Right.
Okay.
That doesn't really fit with any of the scenarios at all that anyone's come up with.
Well, you said you heard some rumors. Let me hear what some of those were.
Right. Well, the general one was the same thing the gentleman that was on anonymously with the Marco story, word for word. That is exactly the story that we all assumed was the real truth.
And it was because of Greg.
Well, not him himself,
right,
but because of someone after him, yeah.
Right, because he owed money or whatever.
Right.
Did you know Brenda to do drugs?
I did not.
How about deliver drugs?
I didn't know. I had no idea she was involved in anything like that, or if she was.
How about the bar in general?
No, it wasn't really a drug type bar. It was a sort of just backwoods heavy metal drunks.
Okay. Well, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Okay. Wait, what was the other rumor? Oh, well, there were some guys from out of town rumor.
Yes. I wanted to talk to you about that because I don't think you reached that episode yet.
Okay.
I think that's the next one. I was going to text you and say, hey, can you watch this first? But that's okay. Tell me what you heard about that rumor.
Well, people always said that there were a couple guys that were working in town,
mm-hmm.
that were in the bar, and they were the last people there, and people suspected foul play from them.
Okay. when you did, I imagine throughout the years, at least one time you looked at the sketch that the police put out there.
You know what? I saw it for the first time on your YouTube
Is that
channel.
right?
I have never seen that sketch before.
Did it jog any memory to you? Past
Nope,
clients or
never
anything?
seen those people.
Okay.
Another thing that caught my attention when you said deathbed confession, I thought you were talking about someone else. There was a guy who he got crushed by his tractor in probably around 2003, and he was alive for a few hours and talked to people. And a story that I had heard was that he told someone that someone had paid him to dispose of something on his property and have it buried.
Never heard that one.
Later on, at the time, I remember thinking they were talking about the Brenda case, but it may not have been.
Gotcha. Do you remember what Carl's attitude was towards this disappearance?
Yeah, kind of vaguely. I mean, he was upset about it.
Yeah.
And
because Brenda's sister told me, I think you probably watched it, that she went to the bar that Friday to talk to Carl, and he kind of just blew her off, wouldn't talk to her, ignored her.
Well, I think he was upset too because he felt like everybody was accusing him, and
yeah.
And you've talked to him, so you know how Carl talks, and I think what you didn't get with Carl was the way he was talking to you. Like I know you found some of the things suspicious, like talking about somebody being found in the ditch, but that just sounded like a normal thing that would have come out of his mouth to me. He kind of has this way of talking that's a little distracted, like he's thinking about 10 other things while he's talking, and
right.
he has no filter at all, which is a kind of a lovable Carl trait.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't know. I don't have any concerns at all about Carl being involved. That has never crossed my mind.
Okay. Well, what I'm trying to figure out, I guess, mostly with Carl is how or why, I guess, he put so much stock into Brenda being able to close the bar up by herself if she was only there 2 or 3 times. And I'm trying to wrap my brain around that.
I think he probably just didn't think about it that much. Where it wasn't that complex a thing. This wasn't this. We didn't have computer systems. It was just to clean up, lock the door, and go.
Okay, so you don't find that odd?
No, I think it was very casual.
Okay.
We didn't have employee handbooks or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to address?
I'm looking here. I don't think so. Yeah. I did want to ask you. You were saying something else about somebody switching a shift with her, and I just thought that was strange because she'd asked me to take that shift. Did she switch that shift with someone else?
That is what I heard, but I haven't been able to confirm it because according to her sister and in the newspaper article, she was hired just to work on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay.
And that was it. And then she took a shift because I guess Wednesday night, so she disappeared Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. Wednesday night, she was going on something with Greg. They were going to celebrate their birthdays. And so she switched with somebody. Now, that's what I heard. I can't get anybody to verify it because, I guess I haven't talked to the right people yet. But
Yeah, I'd never heard that.
okay. But for some reason, she didn't want to work that night, and she wanted to switch with you.
Right. And, I was working other places and couldn't do it, so.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that hasn't bothered you. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't. How could you possibly assume that?
Right.
To know the future.
Some people that I've talked to have, survivor's guilt or whatever, and they think, "Oh, that should have been me." And I just hope that you haven't
that doesn't
done that.
do you any good.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you have that attitude. So.
Okay. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. Or if you have any questions, if you want, I can maybe draw you a diagram of where all of the stuff was in the bar. If that would help.
Yeah, that would help. I do have a
and I'll look
blueprint
to see if I have any pictures. I know I have a couple of people in the bar. I don't know if I have anything that really shows the layout.
That's okay. That would be perfect. Some pictures would be great.
Okay. I will track them down, and feel free to give me a call if you need anything.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.